And that's not something you can do. It's more like an attitude that you can have in regard to things you do. That's why fundamentally a meditation method is inherently wrong from the point of view of mindfulness. Because you can't be doing the mindfulness, yet as the Buddha said, meditation is nothing other than unshakable, imperturbable establishment of mindfulness. So if you're not doing mindfulness from the start, how can you magically establish it through something you do, some methods or repetitions? So it's a recognition of your situation while at the same time, simultaneously with that recognition, you are in the situation. In other words, I'm sitting on the chair now, and with like a corner of your eye, with the back of your mind, you're aware of that. That doesn't mean I need to stand up or lay down or start walking in order to know that I was seated on the chair. That's why the fundamental, like the bodily postures or just awareness of the body. So mindfulness done properly means basically awareness of your situation, be it whether it's kind of established upon the body or feelings or the states of mind, the moods, means it's established in that background. So you're not attending it. I don't have to keep sitting here, I'm seated, I'm seated, I'm seated. I don't need to keep repeating that to myself. Why? Because I already know that I'm seated, even if I don't think about it. So if you were to ask me, what's your body posture? I'll immediately say, I'm seated. And that's what you want to tap into, so to speak. Proper development of mindfulness is tapping into what you already know. It's not doing what you think you must be doing. Oh, I'm seated, I'm feeling the chair, my back, my legs are folded, I'm feeling the floor. That's all result of you already knowing that you are seated. That's not your sitting. In other words, whether you're attending to your feet and your back and whatever else going on while you're seated, that's secondary to the fact that you're already seated. And you already know that. So instead of like giving into that, oh, I'm doing this, almost like basically exercising your sense of control over your meditation technique, you want to recognize that, wait a minute, I already know what I'm doing. And then just try not to forget that little bit, that 1%, that 1 grain. Don't forget what you already know. Which means you don't need active effort of reminding yourself that you're seated, that you're seated, that you're seated. All you need to do is just keep a corner of your eye on the fact that you already know that you're seated. And how do you know? Because you are seated. So that knowledge doesn't come from you. It's just a recognition of how things are. That's why through that mindfulness you learn how to discern how things are. That's why that type of mindfulness will result in discerning impermanence, suffering, lack of control, all of that. But it won't result if you do it on your own terms, which is, this is what I'm doing, this is my meditation, I'm touching, feeling, sitting. That's you basically doing what you think you should be doing. But the fact is, Putujan already starts with the wrong view, which means whatever he thinks he should be doing, he will be doing it with the wrong view. That's why you can't have too much of mindfulness either, because it's not doing. It's the recognition of what you already know, and that knowledge is not on you. Same in regard to body postures or in regard to the presently enduring feeling. Again, that's something you already know. So if I ask you, how do you feel? You might think about how you feel in this particular regard or that particular, but if I ask you, how do you feel overall? Is it okay? How's your mood generally? You'll immediately know whether it's sort of plus or minus, so to speak. Whether it's okay, whether it isn't okay. Whether it's neither. So it's tapping into what you already know, and you already know it because it's present on its own terms. Feeling is there enduring, whichever it is. And it's because of you not keeping a corner of your eye on what you already know, that's why you get sort of distracted, pulled with sensuality, ill will, reacting, causing more trouble for yourself, all these things. That's why people are afraid to be alone as well. Because they depend on something to take away their attention, to have something to attend to, including their meditation technique or this or this or this, and they don't stay with what they already know because it's frightening. Initially at least. If you were to just not do anything, including your meditation technique, like the pressure is going to start building up. Solitude, not doing anything. Like doing is required for the maintenance of your being. That's why many people depend on activity of all sorts. Yeah, you can have a good activity, bad activity, less bad activity, but overall you depend on the activity. So mindfulness is not an activity. That's why you can't have too much of it, and that's why you can actually develop wisdom on account of it, if you start discerning it rightly. And that's why you need to know what mindfulness is in order to do it rightly. Not just, okay, I'm mindful now. Yeah, you can't start perfectly, you can't start rightly from the beginning, but you can certainly arrive at it if you don't take for granted what you think mindfulness is as mindfulness. That if I were to know what mindfulness is, I would have at least the right view. I would be at least a Sotapanna. So if I'm not Sotapanna, it means I don't quite know what mindfulness is. So whatever I think mindfulness is, I must upgrade. Through that, I must discern it further. Either way, it's a win-win. If you already know what mindfulness is, great. Doing more of it cannot bring any harm. If you don't know what mindfulness is, and then you end up doing more and you understand what mindfulness is, you win again. So you have nothing to lose by regarding yourself as not knowing quite what mindfulness is. And because of that, pushing further. Well, the only thing you have to lose is your vanity and conceit that made you believe you already understood and know and it's already helpful and it already works. Because if it does, you wouldn't have a problem upgrading it or pushing it further. Because if it truly works, it will stand that test. Nothing will happen to it. But the fact that some people might be defending their meditation technique or something and get very touchy over it, or over their practice of mindfulness, means there's passion invested in it, literally. There is conceit and vanity invested in it. And that's not mindfulness then.